Hello and welcome to the Intermittent Fasting Gems with Jen podcast. I'm your host, Jen, a middle-aged Michigan mama, wife, and teacher who in 2021 stumbled upon this crazy cool thing called intermittent fasting. And before I knew it, I'd lost 46 pounds in 4 months and gained an incredible lifestyle filled with complete food freedom. If you're hungry for unique, no-nonsense fasting tips that actually work, you're in the right place. So whether you're walking the dog, folding that last load of laundry, or cruising to your 9 to 5, let's start fasting our way to freedom together. Today we are hanging out and chatting with Mary O'Rourke from Fenton, Michigan. How you doing, Mary?
I am fantastic, Jen. How are you?
I'm great. So Mary is a 20-year-old college student. She's a junior studying zoology. And we actually spoke with Mary's mom last month in November. And this is going to come out in December. And I cannot wait to chat with you today. Mary and I go back a little bit. Her brother was in my kindergarten class. So I have known Mary for quite a while, and I think I actually was Mary's substitute teacher many, many years ago. So super excited to talk with you today, Mary. So let's just go ahead and have some serious fun. All right. So
I'm so excited.
I am too. You look adorable. Love the braids.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, super cute. Super cute. So, all right, I'd like to start off by asking what have been your top 3 wins with intermittent fasting, whether that's weight loss or if you have any non-scale victories like more energy or better sleep or whatever that may be. Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah. Well, I think weight loss is definitely the number one for me, because that's, what got me started in IF was, I think everyone just about starts for the weight loss. And
I totally agree. Can I ask how much you lost, Mary?
Yeah. So, I haven't been great about weighing. The last time I weighed in was actually March of this year.
Okay.
But I started at 275 pounds in September of 23. And in January, I weighed in at about 255. So I lost, about 20 pounds there. And then, in March I was 240, and I haven't weighed. Yeah, I haven't weighed since then because I have a doctor's appointment coming up this month, actually. Like the 6-month difference. I wanted to wait. Yeah, because sometimes the scale is very, back and forth, and it can be not super motivating.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
You have to really find what works for you. So absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that is incredible. And
Thank you.
I can really tell in your face, like,
thank you.
Yes, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't want to cut you off. That was,
no, you're good.
Okay. Of course. Weight loss is usually the top win for many people, not everybody, but it was for me as well. So, all right, keep going. That was one.
So there was that, and it I also do body measurements because that kind of helps me keep track of that to make sure I am actually losing. So in total, I've lost 39 inches off my body, which is very exciting.
Oh my goodness, 39 inches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I am so glad that you said that, Mary, because I think you're right. Like the number on the scale can get very, very daunting. And people need to realize that they are actually progressing, and a great way to keep yourself motivated and in the game and to keep moving forward is to consistently take those body measurements. Sometimes I really do think you just need to throw that scale out the window for a bit until you can get the right mindset. But it's working, and that measurement tape can really, really be telling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because there could be so many good changes happening to your body and the scale might not change. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck just with those numbers. So I personally I'm not a big weigher, but this month I'm going to see how much I've really lost. My mom and I are convinced it's somewhere around 60, 70 pounds maybe. in
Oh my
total.
gosh, that's
Yeah, yeah,
incredible. So what I'd
yeah.
love for you to do, Mary, is since we're recording this in August, but your show will come out in December. So if you want to
Hmm.
report back to us, I'll be sure to have this
Okay.
data in the show notes. So as I know
Yeah, yeah,
everyone will
absolutely.
want to know. So very good.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, that's
absolutely. I
two.
will tell you the results. Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So there's that one. I think also gut health. I feel
Oh,
so much better now. I had horrible acid reflux and gas and
really?
yeah, the reflux, it was just every night. Because I mean, I had a horrible habit of late night snacking. It's like my all-time
Yes.
favorite thing. I would
I
skip
think a lot of
breakfast
people
and
have
then
that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just watching movies, eating popcorn, that kind of thing. So I had reflux real bad, and I just was convinced that that was just a problem I was going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. But with IF, oh my gosh, just no more reflux at all. It's completely
Really,
gone.
it's completely
Yeah,
gone.
completely.
I
Yeah.
love that you, at just 20 years old, realize the importance of gut health. I think there are so many people, myself included, it took me until I was in my, mid 40s to realize that gut health really is connected to all of the health issues in our whole entire body, really. And
Absolutely.
it is just incredible that you figured that out early,
Yeah.
because that is going to be something that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. So that is very, very exciting. Have you read that
Thank you.
book,
Yeah.
Eat Dirt by Dr. Axe?
Ooh,
It's
I have not.
all
I have not heard of
about
that.
gut health. And I read it on
Okay.
spring break like a year ago. And I highly, highly recommend that to you
Okay.
and
Okay.
everybody out there. I think his name is Josh, Dr. Josh Axe, and he just breaks down, oh my gosh, how to improve your gut health, but how our gut
Okay.
health is absolutely connected to
Yeah.
just about every function in our body, which is it's very eye-opening and scary at the same time. So
Ooh, that
yeah,
sounds like an exciting read. I'm gonna need to
it's
check that
really
out.
good. It's really good. Just jam-packed with fantastic
Okay.
information. So, all right. So, Mary, what would you say? What's your main or preferred intermittent fasting method or schedule that works for you? Whether that's like 16/8, or do you mostly do OMAD, or what works good for you, Mary?
I think I kind of switch between 19.5 or OMAD.
Perfect.
My golden eating window is 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Ooh, I like
I
that
do
word,
that.
golden eating
Yeah.
window. 3 p.m. to
That's
8 p.m.
yeah, that's just
Okay.
like my perfect because I really do not like to eat past 8. Sometimes I'll have to tweak my window, maybe 2 to 7 or 1 to 6 but I really don't like to go past 8. I definitely
Okay.
do on occasion.
Well, sure, we all
But
do, and that's okay. That's the
yeah,
beauty of intermittent fasting, is the flexibility,
right.
and you can
Right.
just,
Yeah, absolutely.
tweak it to those hours where you need to. And
Yeah.
well, I think that sounds very doable. And I know for me, that's the schedule that I actually use. The 19/5 is the method that I use now to
Oh, great.
maintain. So pretty much every day of the week except for Sundays, I do pretty much 19/5, 20 and 4. Sundays
Hmm.
I do more of a 2 mad, more of a 16/8. But going
Okay.
back to something you said, you kind of switch things up. You kind of go back and forth between
Yeah.
OMAD and 19/5 and whatever is kind of working for you. And again,
Yeah.
that's a really great tip too, because if you get stuck in the same fasting hours and the same routine and schedule, then it's just like anything else. Your body gets used to it, and then it's
Yeah.
your metabolism kind of gets stuck again. So that's a great way to kind of keep things moving in the right direction. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
and I know we have actually talked about this in my Facebook group. It's kind of out there right now, kind of the buzz because of the Life app being no more. We're all upset about
Oh,
that because
yeah.
we all loved
Rest
it.
in peace. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was talking to your mom, she said you guys had tried this Fasting Queens because it had to do with kind of women's health and things like that. But she did send me a message and said you weren't super crazy about it. Is
Yeah.
that right? I don't want to put
Yeah.
words in your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, no, you're good. I
Okay.
was intrigued by it because, it would track your cycle as well. And I think, the two kind of coincide sometimes,
Sure.
fasting and your cycle. Yeah. But I don't know. It didn't have, that satisfying button of start fast, end fast. And,
Yeah, and that
you
life
know,
did, and yeah.
yeah, it was more like a calendar kind of thing. So it would say, oh, your fast has started or your fast has ended. More just like telling you what's happening instead of you controlling the app.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I like
yeah,
that too. I
yeah,
was
but
speaking with
I've
another guest, and she said to try out Sunrise, which I haven't checked
okay.
out yet. I know that Zero is a pretty good app too, and so we're all
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
what I'm using right
looking.
now.
Besides the fasting app, how do you? Are there any other methods that you use to kind of track your
Mm.
eating and fasting windows?
I think ultimately I really stick with that 3 to 8.
Okay.
Because I do like the same specific hours every day.
And you're young,
It's
so you can
yeah.
remember. you know,
Right, yeah.
those of us like me are old. We do better with
You need
some
some
sort of a
tools.
system. We need tools.
Yeah.
I mean, fasting does help with the brain health, but still, we
Right.
are struggling a little more. So you're young, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you're good with that. So, all
Yeah,
right.
yes. Sometimes I'm inconsistent with it, but other days I'll just be OMAD,
Sure.
like depending on how work goes, and a lot of the time I struggle to just follow the clock. So I'll just
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Hmm.
So, Mary, what would you say is your biggest challenge with intermittent fasting?
Mm. Um, I think being around other people who don't fast probably. Because my family we're big late night snackers. We love watching movies at night, and it's like a law in our house that all movies have to have snacks. They need the popcorn and the candy and all that. And that typically happens after 8 or way after 8. So my
Of
window is
course.
closed,
So
and
this the
there's that
kind of the
little
social part of it, and
yeah,
especially you being
yeah,
young, I'm sure that's got to be much more difficult than
yeah.
someone old like me who goes to bed, shortly after eight
You're not
o'clock.
that
So,
old, Jay.
well, thanks. But
You don't
no,
look a
I
day over
totally get it.
25.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, I think, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I know that even at my age, I had difficulty with just basically people with generally the general understanding of fasting. And a lot of people
Yeah.
they just don't get it, and they're maybe a little judgy. And so, especially at your age, I'm sure there are a lot of people your age who probably maybe have never even heard of it. So they're kind of like, what
Right.
do you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm
Yeah,
wondering
I mean,
about
no,
that
you're
though.
kind of hitting the nail on the head because I've definitely gotten, I get two reactions from it normally. It's either, oh, like you should just break your fast now so we can go get ice cream together or something. That's what I hear from my friends. Or sometimes I'll also hear, oh, like no, you're starving yourself one meal a
Oh,
day,
yeah.
or you're refusing to eat until the specific time. Like you have an eating disorder, or you shouldn't be
Yes.
doing this. It's not healthy. And I think that's just the lack of understanding of what fasting is, because I understand what it looks like on the outside. It can look like over
Yes.
restricting, but yeah. So I do hear that sometimes, and
Yes.
I
That's
explain. I yeah.
well, and that's the thing. Yeah, you are going to get that. I know I've talked about this a lot, but I've struggled with that a lot. But I think
Yeah.
I've gotten to a really healthy place where I've realized that I don't talk about it now unless someone asks me. And also, I just kind of let my lifestyle do the talking for me. And you would be
Oh
surprised.
yeah.
So many people at the beginning who were so judgmental and had snarky comments, not all of them. Some of them are still snarky and judgy,
Oh
but
man.
many, that's okay though. You know what? Many of them have changed, and they have even come to me and said, okay, I think I'm ready for you to tell me a little bit more about this intermittent fasting thing.
Ooh,
And
okay.
so I don't push it, I don't push it on them. And if they're ready, then I'm happy to talk to them about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
so when, Mary, do you clean fast? Meaning, I think you probably know, because I know you do you listen to the Delay Don't Deny,
I do.
the
Yeah.
podcast with Jen Stevens and Fast Feast Repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And so during your fasting time, your fasting window, are you sticking to black coffee, plain water,
Yes.
plain sparkling mineral water, and
Mm-hmm.
unflavored herbal tea?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
very good. Okay,
absolutely.
so what drinks during your fasting hours do you prefer?
I really like to stick to water. I used to be big on, Coke and Pepsi, and I loved my pop so much, but to me now it doesn't really feel worth it to drink my calories, especially like
Yes.
I used to love coffees from Starbucks and stuff, and but those are really just milkshakes at this point.
Yes,
So
they are.
yeah, I definitely prefer to just eat my
Just
calories, and
so
yeah,
just
it
plain
also, yeah.
ice water, not
Mhm.
sparkling mineral water, just regular water.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been a
Okay.
big fan of sparkling water. It's
Okay.
not for me. Yeah.
Okay. How about
Mhm.
electrolyte supplements or salt or anything? Do you use?
Yes.
Okay, what do you use
Have
there?
you heard of Element?
Yes, that's the one I use
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I use the unflavored, unfiltered one during my fast.
I love that one. I actually
Yeah.
mix mine. I prefer mine with the plain sparkling mineral water. I don't know, it gives it
Hmm.
kind of a fun um
Okay. Yeah.
I don't it doesn't give it a flavor, but it does fun stuff in my mouth.
A
So
little something. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm having something cool, and I do like putting the little packet in there and seeing all the bubble. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It's the
No, no,
little
I get
things,
it.
Mary. It's the little things.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I so how often do you use the element?
Um, I want to say right now probably once a week. I would like to take it every day,
It's a
but
little pricey.
I forget.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah, and
pricey too
yes,
to
it
do
is
it.
pricey.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Well,
mostly
yeah.
just forgetting about it.
Yeah, so I know when I was losing the weight, I was using it 2 to 3, maybe if I could, 4 times a week, and it really does help. It gives you
Yeah.
that pick up, that energy boost that you need. I only use it about once a week now, because I generally try to do an extended, like, 36-hour fast. I usually do
Okay.
it from starting Sunday night after my all day of eating, because I go to my parents' house on Sunday, and then I do like 2 med that day, so I have like eight
Okay.
hours of eating, and I really indulge that day too. So I
Yeah.
usually start my extended fast around 7 o'clock on Sunday, and then I usually do like what Jen Stevens calls it, or whoever calls it, the mealless Monday, because I don't know,
Oh
Mondays
yeah.
are just boring anyways around my house. So my husband
Yeah.
knows he has to do his own thing, eat his scrambled eggs or whatever he's going to make. I'm not cooking on Monday. And then I usually, when I'm about hour 22 or 24 into that extended fast, that's when I take that element electrolyte
Okay.
supplement with the sparkling water. And it's perfect, because it gives me that pick me up, that boost that I need to last until midday on Tuesday, when I go ahead and
Yeah.
break my fast. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's
I
just so
like that.
hydrating too. It's great.
It
Yeah.
is, and you really do need
Mhm.
it, because especially if you're somebody who's struggling with, fatigue and muscle cramping, and maybe like a little bit of dizziness, that really helps to knock it out. And it's a good way
Yeah.
to kind of train your body when you're first starting to get into, kind of build up that fasting muscle too. What's
Yeah, absolutely.
the longest fast you've ever done, Mary? Do you know, or?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't tracked specifically. I think I have accidentally done probably like
Everybody
a
says that.
36, 40 hour fast.
You just
I mean,
we
sometimes
forgot
it
to
just happens
eat.
that way. Yeah, yeah. Like I think that day I was at work, and I didn't have time for a lunch break or
Okay.
something, and
Yeah.
it just didn't happen. Because sometimes at work, what I end up doing is OMAD, because,
Mm-hmm.
let's say I work 10 to 8 or 9 and I get one break. It'll typically be at around like 6 or 7 p.m., and I'll just eat all the food that I packed, and
Yeah.
then windows closed after that.
So have you found, I know I did, that if you're busy at work or whatever, it's just so much easier to fast.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
it's a lifesaver, and
Yeah.
you don't have to think about it. You throw everything you're going to eat for the day in your lunchbox.
Yeah.
Eat it all when you can, and then you're
And I
done thinking about food.
and how do you feel like when you're in that fasted state, Mary? Like, do you have lots of energy? I know I did when I was at work and
Yes.
I was, working at as a teacher, as in a fasted state. It was like I just had so much energy. I didn't know what
Yeah.
to do. It was
Yeah,
great. It was a great feeling.
yeah, absolutely. I love the energy that comes from it. And it's helped me to, like, I don't know, be very heightened on, like, feeling your body kind of shut down after eating. You know how, like, all your energy goes towards digesting, so you just feel that slump after eating a good
Yes.
meal.
Oh, I know.
I didn't realize, that I was feeling that all day long back when I would be consistently eating. My body was constantly working to digest and just pulling from my energy. And I didn't even know until I finally let my pancreas rest and just, you
And
know.
when you have that much energy, it just makes every other part of your life just perk up. And you can
Absolutely.
be a better friend, you can be a better worker, employee, whatever that may be, and you just
Yeah,
feel so much better about yourself. But
absolutely.
yeah, so you said your eating windows are about between like 3 and 8. So what kind of foods like and drinks, like what do you enjoy eating? What makes you
Okay.
feel good during your
Yeah.
eating windows?
So this was definitely a journey for me, trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what to eat in my window, because when I first started in September, and mom's telling me about this awesome thing where you delay, don't deny. So in my head, in my head, I was like, oh, so I can eat anything, as long as it's in this eating window. So I started with one meal a day back in
Okay.
September, and what I did was, I would go to Culver's and maybe get, a bunch of yummy food from there, just really crappy food too, and I would eat it all in my one sitting and call that my one meal a day, and then that would be it. And I did that for a couple weeks, and obviously it yielded nothing because
Mm-hmm.
I was eating like garbage, and what you eat is obviously important still. So I figured that out pretty quickly. I started doing research into the gut microbiome and how
Mm-hmm.
important variety is in your food, and getting different food groups. So I started prioritizing that better over the first few months. And now it's so important to me. I try to keep carbs low. I love high protein, and I really try to focus on getting vegetable variety, like just eating as many different vegetables as I can, and high volume of it. Because again, there was a book that I started. I'm struggling to remember what it was called, but it was just very powerful, talking about the microbiome and feeding the right kind of bacteria and not feeding the wrong kind.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I constantly just think about it as, I need to be feeding my little gut microbiome, and make sure it can do what it needs to do.
Well, you have educated yourself beyond many, many 20-year-olds, I'm sure. And I love that you mentioned the variety of foods because that is, I used to
Hmm.
tell when I taught elementary PE, I used to tell the kids that they need to eat the rainbow,
Yeah.
so many colorful fruits and vegetables on their plate. And you're right, that
Hmm.
is so cool to be able to know that just by eating a variety of foods, you are feeding, the good bacteria in your gut.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got to switch it up. You're right. If you're eating the
Hmm.
same stuff, it is going to become a problem. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So what do you pay attention much to the first thing that you eat? Like what makes your stomach feel good? Because I know when I first started, I had to do a lot of trial and error with that because there were some
Hmm.
foods that were giving me stomach cramps. There were some foods that I was running to the bathroom. I mean, with
Yeah.
diarrhea. I know it's a little TMI, but it's true. You want to find the foods that make your
Yeah.
stomach feel good. So, do you have certain foods that make your stomach feel good when you break your fast, Mary?
Yeah. So I think I definitely I don't like to start with anything super sweet.
Good.
I like to
Yeah.
start with, yeah, I don't know, something basic, typically a protein or some kind of veggie. I kind of like to do a small meal when I start, or a snack of some kind.
Great idea.
And yeah, and thank you. And then a few hours into the eating window, I'll have a larger meal. And then I really love having sweets. I have a big sweet tooth, but I try to be smart with it. So maybe I'll have some grapes before I
Okay.
close my window, or I love just like a tablespoon or two of just whipped cream, because like the calories are so low,
I put
or
whipped cream on
raspberries or something.
my fruit and yogurt every night. So yeah,
Right. It's so good.
if
It's
there's
so
no
good.
whipped cream, there's no sense in even having it. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
so I'll typically close my window with something sweet, which I've heard people have an issue with. Like it's like they have a harder fast the next morning. I personally have not had an issue with that, but I'm also not like
So when
eating
you say
ho-hos before bed.
maybe when you say something sweet, just grapes or what are you
Yeah,
choosing?
so it would be something like grapes or raspberries with whipped cream on top, or there's this dark chocolate brand. Have you ever heard
Oh,
of Who, the
I
HU
haven't.
bars? Okay. It's
No.
it's like it's really simple ingredient dark chocolate. They
Okay.
use actual cacao beans and just coconut
Oh,
sugar, and I think that's all that's in it.
yeah.
So I, if I do indulge in like chocolate or something like
Hmm.
that, I want it to be something
Does
that's
it
not
have
super
protein in it
processed.
too? Is it like a protein bar
Um,
or
no,
no?
it's
Okay.
just like, yeah,
Just
it's
not
just
processed though. That's
chocolate,
great.
like sea salt, and yeah, so just basic ingredients. Because
And you know what? If it doesn't upset your stomach and you feel good, then go for it. Because like I
yeah,
said, it's all about finding out what works best with your body, and everybody is
right.
different there. So
Yeah,
awesome.
because I don't want to be in a diet mentality, because
No.
ultimately I'd like to keep fasting up for the rest of my life because I'm really loving it. So
Yes.
I want to make sure that I don't feel like I'm trapped and I can't
Do
enjoy
you
food.
do you count calories?
I do,
You do. Okay.
but I'm not very,
Strict.
yeah, exactly. So I'm
Okay.
not like tracking every individual thing into an
Good.
app or anything. I'm kind of conscious of it, like how many calories are in this chicken breast, or like this
Yes.
bag of chips or something like that. I'll kind of keep it in my mind
Yes.
so
That's
that I know
perfect.
I'm, yeah,
Yes.
because I it's super easy to not be in a deficit if you don't think about it, at
That's
least.
true. That's true. So
I've
you're
noticed that.
you're holding yourself accountable, but at the same time, you're not being so strict about it that you're
Right.
being
Like
so
measuring out my
rigid
olive oil
that
and all
you
that. Yeah.
turn back into that very yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
then that's when that whole diet mindset starts to set in, and you're right. Like
Right.
that. For years, I struggled with that, and that's why I
Yeah.
love not having to worry, like I said, with about that with intermittent fasting. But so,
Hmm.
Mary, do you exercise? How do you like to move around and stay active? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I love Pilates. Pilates is my
Ooh.
my my jam. Yes.
Oh, you have to be flexible for that. I
Well,
am not.
yeah, I mean, I don't do the crazy Pilates routines. I do just simple 20-30 minute videos. I started that actually in April because I saw some ad online about, oh, start this 28-day challenge
Oh yeah.
Pilates. So I did it, because I wasn't really prioritizing moving. I was just doing the fasting. I
Okay.
was like, I want to speed up this weight loss process a little
Sure.
bit.
Sure.
Yeah, so I started that, and after the 28 days, the energy that I had and the strength that I felt, I loved it. So I've just been doing it ever since. Um,
I love
yeah,
that. And
I try to do it every day.
it helps you kind of keep moving along, with that positive mindset, keeps you motivated to keep going on the intermittent fasting journey,
Yeah.
I think, too. So do you, when you exercise or when you do your Pilates, is it while you're in that fasted state, or is it after you eat, or when
Yeah.
do you
So
generally, yeah.
Pilates, typically when I started, I would do it after closing my eating window. So I would
Okay.
do it around 9 p.m., something like that.
Hmm.
But as time has gone on, I think in the past month or two, I've gotten more into the habit of doing it in my fasted state, because I'm not, worried about digesting and stuff like that. But I've also taken up running, which that I like to do in my fasted state.
Me
So
too.
sometimes, yeah, so sometimes Pilates will be pushed to after because I would much rather do Pilates with food in my stomach than try running.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. I like to run in the fasted state too. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to work on that Pilates thing. I just
Yeah.
I always say this, but my husband teases me because I am seriously the least flexible person on the
Oh,
planet.
yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
and
some people aren't.
I mean, I can do sporty things, and I was the gym teacher, but when
Right.
it would come to something like the yoga unit, I'd be like, oh boy, we're gonna have to have so and so teach this unit because my body is not moving that way at
Yeah,
all. So
it's okay. I'm nowhere near the splits or anything like that, so it is okay.
we all have our things. So
Right, and I'm sure you're a better runner than I am, because I've only been doing it for a couple months now, but I love it since starting. Oh my
I
gosh, it's
actually
so fun.
ran. Did you know I ran the Boston Marathon in
You
2011?
did?
I did.
Oh my gosh, that's
That was
amazing.
a at the very top of my bucket list thing. I actually
Yeah.
qualified in 2009 and then tried to get in the next year, and it filled up in like 6 hours or something. And so they
Oh, that's
at that time we could
amazing.
carry over, and then it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Something I'll never ever forget. So yeah,
Oh man, that's great.
running is kind of I still run now, but now I don't run for time, and I just run to basically clear out my head, and that's my
Yeah.
time. And I find that the running, like I said, it's just really helped me kind of de-stress and prioritize myself, because sometimes
Yeah.
you forget to take care of yourself. And so if you have at least
Yeah.
something like that that you can, fall back on and
Yeah,
prioritize, so
absolutely.
that really helps. But
Yeah. Yeah.
all
And
right, well,
I'm glad to hear that.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry,
No,
sorry.
you're good.
I'm
Go
glad
ahead.
to hear that you ran the marathon because I might pick your brain about that later on because I actually really want to do a marathon. That's what
Yes,
got me into,
I
yeah, that's
have
what got me
a
started on the running.
I followed. People always are amazed when I tell them this, that I actually did a run walk method, and I did that to qualify for the marathon. So
Oh wow, okay.
I ran 4 minutes and walked 1 minute intervals, and that is how I train. So yeah, get with
Okay.
me. I've got a really good book that I'd be happy to give to you, and you can, because I'm pretty sure I'm not doing another marathon, but I
Yeah.
checked that off. But I can share that
Right,
with you.
yeah.
So that's great
Okay,
to
well
hear. I'm
thank you. Yeah.
glad to hear you picked up running. So
Yeah, yeah.
love it. But all right, Miss Mary. So we're almost ready to wrap things up. I would like
Okay.
to end with your shiniest gem. So, what would you say is your very best intermittent fasting tip for success that you can leave our
Ooh,
listeners with today? Put you on the
that's a
spot.
good that's a good question.
You've already given us
Um,
so much. I keep writing stuff down that you're saying at 20. You're
uh,
wise.
well, thank you, Jen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's all thanks to my mom and using, gin and sherry and fast feast repeat, all that.
Yes,
They are my
yes.
resources.
What
Yeah.
before you give us your gem, I want to make sure I
Hmm.
put it. You were on what podcast were you also on?
Oh, yes. So I was on fast feast repeat.
Is
Briefly, I wasn't like it wasn't an interview or anything. It was just my question got on there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so
So
cool, though.
that's one of the episodes of Fast Food Repeat. Yeah, I was so excited. I was just
Yeah.
walking around
Oh.
MSU when I heard the episode, and I heard Mary from Fenton has a question, and I was like, no way!
Ooh. I
I was
love
so
that.
excited. I was geeking out. Yeah.
What was your question on there?
It was back when I was doing the one meal a day with, the Culvers and everything, and I was saying,
Oh.
"Hey, is it okay if I do 23-1 like
Oh.
every day?" And they were like, "No."
Well,
Yeah, I mean, especially with what I was eating.
I'll leave that episode in the show notes. So if people want to
Oh,
hop
thank
on
you.
over and listen to that, they can. And I know that podcast is fabulous, and that's one that's helped me
Mhm.
kind of get through and really push through my weight loss journey. And her Jin's success stories podcast and all of those, they're just so inspiring and motivational. So
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
right, I'm done talking. Your turn.
Okay. All
Shiniest
right, time
gem,
for my
girlfriend.
gem. Okay. Well, I think ultimately patience is so important. I think a lot of people shy away from fasting because it's not like a crash diet where you're going to lose 40 pounds in a month, like it's advertised. But it's consistent and it's healthy. And I think you should start it. Today should be your day one,
Oh,
even though it might, yeah,
I
even though
love
it
that.
might take, even though it might take a year for you to lose all that weight. A year from now is still going to be a year from now. Time's not going to stop. The only thing that's going to be different a year from now is where you're at. Like, are you a year into fasting or are you a year into doing the same thing you were doing before? Like, time is still going to pass. It's just ultimately who you are is that's going to be up to you and the decisions that you make. And I think it is a long game fasting, but it's so worth it and you start to feel good so quickly and she just like changes keep happening and I'm so excited for the rest of the journey. It's just great. So I think ultimately patience and just being okay with the slow roll. That's my gem.
I think that's a very shiny one.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's the corny teacher comment in me.
Oh,
But
that
you,
is
but
okay. That's
you
okay.
are so right, and so many of us want that instant gratification, and if it doesn't happen overnight, we get frustrated. But just knowing that, this is so different than a traditional diet. It isn't, something where you say, "Oh, hey, I did such and such a diet and I lost 30 pounds." Well, the fact of the matter is you may have, but most of us gain all of that or more back most of the time because it's
Yeah.
just a thing to do at the moment. Whereas with fasting, even when people say to me, "Oh, Jen, I messed up." Well, do you think I mess up all the time? Like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I ate all of that." But you can't take that as a failure. You just get back on the horse and you keep going,
Yeah.
especially when, like you said, when you know from the beginning that you're committed and that it's a long game, it's a lifestyle, then it is really it's attainable, it's achievable, it's sustainable,
Yeah.
and it's so, like you said, it's so freeing and it's so rewarding, and you just something that you can, like I said, give yourself grace and just keep moving forward. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm so grateful that I found it so young. And really that's all thanks to my mom. I
yes,
don't think I would have found it without her.
she did
Yeah.
so incredible. She's been a great. Both of you have been awesome members in the Facebook group, and I can't thank you enough. So,
Oh,
well,
we love you, Jen.
oh, I love you too. Well, I just have to really thank you for chatting with me today and for
Of
sharing so
course.
much awesome information and so many great tips with our listeners. And you, seriously, you're like an IF superstar. And
Oh, thank you.
you are so far.
Thank
You're
you.
the youngest, interview guest we've had. So
Oh, I'm
I love
honored. Oh my
that.
goodness.
I know I'm starting to feel old because I was thinking back and I'm like, okay, every Buddy is, I'm older than everybody, but I'm really, really older than you. So, but I have had so much fun hanging out with you today. Good
Me
luck
too.
with your intermittent fasting journey, but also with your internship and all that you decide to do. So,
Yeah,
God
thank you
bless you,
so much.
Mary.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
God bless you too, Jen. You're amazing. This was great. Thank you.
Have a great day. Hey, everybody. I have an awesome update about Mary. I was able to connect with Mary on Thanksgiving Day 2024, and on that day, she had officially hit the 100-pound mark. So, in just 14 months, Mary lost 100 pounds and an incredible 64 inches with intermittent fasting. We are so proud of you, Mary. If you want to check out her super motivating and inspiring before and after pics, be sure to check out my blog post, How Mary Lost 100 Pounds with Intermittent Fasting, in the show notes below. And again, if you have an intermittent fasting success story that you'd like to share, I'd love to have you as a guest on this podcast in 2025. Just send me a quick email at sowhatif@gmail.com, and we'll go from there. Have a super spectacular day, my fasting friends. Hey, thank you so much for choosing to spend part of your day listening to this episode of the Intermittent Fasting Gems with Jen podcast. If you think these tips could help a friend or a family member, please consider sharing this episode with them. And if you really enjoyed the show, taking a minute or two to leave a positive review would be so appreciated. Tune in for new 15 to 25-minute episodes released on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of each month. Episodes will feature solo shows filled with IF hacks that have worked for me, as well as episodes where I get to chat with fun folks of all ages who've experienced incredible success with intermittent fasting. If you have questions or want more unique intermittent fasting health and weight loss tips, tricks, and recipes, please visit my website and blog at sowhatifwithjen.com. Finally, we'd love to welcome you into our free intermittent fasting Facebook support group, So What If with Jen. Find all of these links in the show notes below. And as always, I hope you spend your day loving without fear and laughing until your cheeks hurt.